Hello, welcome back to HowtoDandD. Today is all about character creation. I'm going to apologise yet again. I'm actually, I've got the hay fever real bad today. There's something going on and I'm really struggling. So we probably wind up with a lot of what I have to say kind of gurgling a little bit. I'm going to apologise for that. There's nothing I can do about it. Medicated up the kaboo. But anyway, since this is all about character creation, I'm going to put up a poll for those of you who are here so you can take part in that. I'm going to tell you right now, you'll want to have pen and pencil would be good. You'll want some dice, a character sheet if you have a character sheet. Otherwise, use your phone, a laptop, a scrap piece of paper to jot things down with if you need to. Maybe you have your desktop computer open and just watch the stream. And this is all for those of you who, the first time you've ever built a fighter for Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to help you through this process. I will be using D&D Beyond, but in the future I will use other formats as well, not just D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond just does all the maths for you to make it a little bit easier. Anyway, grab some food, some drink, get comfortable. There is a lot to cover and never enough time to do so. Pardon me. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Weller and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons because, well, that's why I'm called HowtoDandD. It's How to Dungeons and Dragons, right? So this is Dungeons and Dragons 5e. This is Lesson 1, Beginner Character Creation, where we go through the process of how do we actually build a character for the game. Now, what is my overview? What will I cover? I'm going to cover the character creation pre-check, all the things you do before you start creating the character. The character sheet, different formats that we have, there are quite a few. Character creation basic steps, so you know what the basic steps are. I'm going to talk about the advanced character details that you need to deal with. Yes, that means maths. Miscellaneous recommendations, because I always do. And then I will do character class essentials. This is where I focus in on one specific class, and today it is the fighter. We're going to cover the fighter. You would think the fighter is quite simple, but actually it's not. I'll talk more about that shortly. Now, my overview for today is to explain everything as best I can, demonstrate as much as possible. Yes, we are going to build a character. That's because you are going to participate in the character creation process, since frankly it doesn't matter what the character winds up being in the end, so you guys can do whatever you like with it. And that's why we do this, okay? A bit of practice. I'm going to refer you to D&D Beyond, where you have a character builder that does pretty much everything for you. You plug in the right details. We're going to use this today. Not everything is free. Some of it's free, some of it's not. So if you're concerned about items of it not being sort of available to you, then simply don't use it. There are other software packages out there. And there are other ways of doing it. You don't have to use software at all. Okay, let's talk about the character creation pre-check. What does that look like? What sort of things do we need to actually cover? I want you to check with your Dungeon Master what player character options are going to be available in the game that's being run. So what are the house rules that the Dungeon Master has with regard to character creation? Some Dungeon Masters do have house rules, so check them, make sure you know what they are. And then what sort of house rules do they have with regard to actually playing the game? They may have adjusted some of the core rules, and so you probably need to know that because it can have an impact on your character build. And you know, if you want to do certain things you're not going to be able to because it's restricted by whatever the Dungeon Master's done, you probably need to know about that stuff as well. Now, I want you to build a character for the campaign on the information that is provided. What information is provided? Well, hopefully enough for you to figure out how to build a character for the campaign. Now, if the Dungeon Master doesn't provide you with enough information, you need to ask the relevant information or details that will allow you to build a character to fit the adventure and the campaign. It's not the other way around. You don't build a character and then the Dungeon Master tries to pull together everybody's 4 or 5 different characters into a campaign or adventure. That's actually insanity. You build the character to fit the game. That's the way it really should be done. There are people capable of doing it the other way, but you're starting out, so you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be fitting in with the group. character creation has always been and should always start with a group discussion. This is a group game where you cooperate with each other, okay? So that means your group discussion must start even before you start creating a character. And character creation is a group discussion because your character is part of a team. It's not just part of a team, it's part of a group machine. Your character is like a cog in a machine that works best when everything is working together. So since you're playing a game that's essentially a team sport, you need to plan together, train together, and play together. And that means you do everything around your character together. For the best results, I recommend this. Design characters around the 3 pillars of play. So make sure you can do something around exploration, social interaction, and combat. It's all very well making a one-trick pony where the only thing you can do is engage in combat and nothing else, or one of the other pillars. Don't do that, because then that's like you've just left out 2/3 of the game where you'll be sitting there doing nothing. And of course you could try to force the game into the thing that you're good at doing, but actually probably not a good way of playing the game. So try to build a character that does everything. Ask about the ability score methods that are going to be used. You have to determine your 6 ability scores. There are a range of different ways you can do this. So ask the Dungeon Master what you can use and when you use them. Are you allowed to use point buy? What's the point buy system? I can explain that later. Standard array. Are you using standard array system? Or can you roll dice? Now, if you're rolling dice for ability scores, it's always a good thing to make sure that you do so in front of the group, particularly the Dungeon Master. Dungeon Masters do not like it when people roll for their ability checks and they do so outside of their own vision. So please do it in front of somebody, okay? What about determining the hit points? Okay, what's the method you're going to use for determining hit points for your character as it levels up? And what is allowed and when do you do it? Again, there is the average. You can take average, or you might be rolling dice. If you're rolling dice for hit points when you're leveling up, then you need to talk to your Dungeon Master and make sure that you're allowed to do it that way, and you do it in front of them. Don't ever roll dice for these things outside of their vision. Now, some Dungeon Masters don't care about this, but the vast majority will, okay? This just ensures that you aren't accused of cheating or doing something underhanded, and we don't want that to be your first experience into the game at all. Okay, character sheet formats. There are a number of different character sheet formats that you can use in the game. There is the standard paper character sheet where you would use pen or pencil. I recommend not using a pen because you'll find with a paper character sheet you'll be rubbing things out and changing things and crossing things out. So you probably don't want pen because you can't get rid of that. Pencil's a better idea. And get yourself an eraser or a rubber. Okay, and when I say rubber, I do not mean a condom. I mean a rubber, as in I'm in New Zealand, we don't call them that. Fillable PDF character sheet. Very useful. Do it online. You can also print it out so it kind of covers everything for you. And of course you can adjust it. Provided that you have a computer to do so, and you know, it's the sort of thing you want to do. Some people just like paper. Then there's also D&D Beyond has a character builder where you can build it online, and it will also be, you can turn it into a PDF, and you can also print it out if you need to. So lots of different options. There's also a lot of third-party character builders, whether they be just plain character sheets you can print out that have been stylized in some way, or they are a phone app, or they are a piece of computer software. Many different options available to you. Figure out what's going to work for you, and away you go. And that covers our different formats. Here's the nuts and bolts. Character creation basic steps. What are those basic steps? Looks pretty simple. I'm going to work my way through this fairly quickly. I want you to select the level of your character that you're starting at and write it down on the character sheet. Now, generally you will start at level 1, but not always. Some Dungeon Masters will start at level 3, some at level 5, so you check with your Dungeon Master what level character you need to create. As a general rule, it will be at level 1, but sometimes it won't, so do check. Select the class for your character and write down the relevant details on the character sheet. You'll find the class information in the Player's Handbook on page 45 to 119. It's not the only place you will find that kind of material and information, so subclasses, and there's the Artificer as well and other supplements. But check with your Dungeon Master you're allowed to use that stuff before you even consider using that material. Whether it's online or out of a book, it really doesn't matter. Now, I would suggest to you, figure out what kind of thing you want your character to do and pick the class that will best fit that. So if you're wanting to be somebody who's doing a lot of close quarter fighting, you might be picking something like a monk or a fighter, even say a ranger or a paladin. Okay, they would all be close quarter, and even a cleric can do this. Probably not a great idea, but it can. If you wanted to be a healer, then of course you're looking at something like your bard, your druid, and your cleric. And even the paladin can do a bit of this, particularly at low level, and not too bad at that. If you're trying to be somebody who's sort of very skilled, then you're looking at your ranger, your rogue, and your bard, probably good choices. And if you want to cast spells, then you're probably looking at your wizard, your warlock, your sorcerer, and then there are some other types of spellcasters as well outside of the arcane realm. Okay, select a race for your character and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. Now, the player handbook on page 17 to 43 has the races. There are alternative races you can use. Again, check with your Dungeon Master before using those supplements. Now, I will also say you do not need to make your race synergize with the class. It's actually not that important, okay? There's a lot of flexibility around this nowadays, and it's perfectly fine to make a character that doesn't have exactly a +5 at level 1 in their main attack or their main spellcasting attack bonus. Like you can have a slightly different number. It's all right. The world will not end. Select your background for your character and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. Backgrounds flesh out what you did before you became an adventurer. You'll find the backgrounds in the player's handbook on page 125 to 141. It's not the only place you will find backgrounds. There's a lot of them scattered through all sorts of different supplements. There's lots and lots. You can actually make your own. And in the back there of the background section, there's about a paragraph that talks about customizing and adjusting the existing backgrounds, but actually making your own. Talk to your Dungeon Master. I recommend giving this a go. It will become the standard in the future. Building your own backgrounds will become the default. But again, you still need to talk to your Dungeon Master about what you're doing. But it is a convention. Okay, we do it. And you do not, again, need to select or make a background that synergizes with your class and your race. Your background reflects what you did before this big change in your life, before you became a hero or an adventurer. Select a feat for your character if you get any, and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. Now, you won't always get feats. You'll find the feats in the player's handbook on page 165 to 170. There are additional feats and other supplements again. What you will find is that some Dungeon Masters use feats and some do not. You'll also find that at low level you won't always have access. So unless you're playing a variant human, you probably won't have a feat. But some Dungeon Masters do give out feats at first level or at second level or third level. So you might want to consider that. And if you are using feats and allowed to use feats in the game, there's an opportunity to pick up a feat at level 4, even if you aren't a variant human. So there are things to sort of consider here. Again, I would say that feats are one of those things that don't always have to be combat focused. I know it's tempting just to always pick the feats that are combat focused. Sometimes feats are good for evening out a character and filling in some of the holes that exist, since there are a few holes to fill in sometimes. Determine the character's 6 ability scores. That is your strength, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, and intelligence. I think I got charisma. I think I got them all. And constitution. Okay, so you're going to pick one of the methods that have been approved by your Dungeon Master. Figure out those 6 ability scores, and you'll find out the information around how to do that is on page 12 to 13 of the player's handbook. And that's the basics around character creation. You've done almost everything you need to do at that point. There is some other stuff that you still need to deal with, unfortunately. So it's not as easy as you might hope. If you are a spellcaster, you're going to select spells for your character, okay? So if you cast spells, you'll need to select what you think is going to be useful to you, what you want, write down the relevant details on your character sheet. Because spells are so complicated, I recommend writing the page number to the spell beside the spell on your character sheet so that you can reference it very quickly. It will be hard for you initially to remember how the spell works, and if your dungeon master is unsure how to use the spell as well, then they might need to look that up, so you need to be able to reference that very quickly. Now, the player's handbook has the vast majority of all the spells. From page 207 to 289, there are additional spells and different supplements. Again, you need to check with your dungeon master before selecting those. Okay, select or buy equipment for your character. Write down the relevant details on your character sheet. You'll find the equipment information is in the player's handbook on page 143 to 161. When it comes to equipment, I'm going to say you're probably better to select the option, the pre-package. Go for the pre-package rather than trying to buy everything individually yourself. That's quite a complicated and involved process. Whereas what you can do is you can select a pre-package equipment bundle, and once you've done that, you'll have some money left over and you can spend that money to buy additional bits and pieces. I always recommend select the pre-package and do a bit of spending. Combinations are probably the best option. Calculating the maths. There had to be mathematics at some point. This is the thing that drives people away and generally scares people. But generally, most of the formulas for figuring out all this stuff aren't that involved. It's just knowing what they are and how they work, okay? So calculating your ability modifier, figuring out what your proficiency bonus is, which is reasonably easy because it's actually listed on a chart for your character class. What are your skill modifiers? What will your saving throw modifier be? What will your armor class be? Your hit points, what will they be? Your initiative score, what is that going to likely be? Passive perception, which is basically your perception modifier plus 10. And there are additional skills that you can use that are also passive. So investigation or insight could also be a passive. So 10 plus whatever your investigation modifier is, that gives you your passive investigation and so forth. Weapon attack bonuses, what are they? What are the weapon damage formulas that you're going to have to use? Spell attack bonuses, what will they be? Your spell saving difficulty class, how do you calculate that? Lots of different things. Now, I could try to spell out every single thing, but I have an additional class that talks about how to figure this stuff out. Rather than trying to do it here, it would just make it too cumbersome. So don't worry, we're going to get to all of that, okay? We're going to solve your maths problem. Select or draw a character portrait. It's not vital, but I'm going to say it does help connect your concept of, in your imagination, of your character to a physical medium, which is generally paper or a digital image. Now, whether you select it, draw it yourself, get somebody else to draw it, get your kids to draw it. I'm sure your kids will be happy to draw your character for you if you have children. There are different ways of dealing with it, and I do recommend the experience. You're the only one that needs to ever see that picture. You don't have to show it to anybody, okay? If you feel like it's not my thing, it's all right. You don't have to share it around. I always do miscellaneous recommendations when I do this this class, and so I have some recommendations for you. I'm going to say right now, character backgrounds can be anything you want them to be, okay? There's no need to select a background to optimize your background with your race and your class. It's just not important at all. Make it your own, adjust it, okay? All you need is sign off from the Dungeon Master. And this is one place where you certainly want to consider having a bit of variety going on, okay? What race you select no longer has any real bearing on the character. It's completely flexible now. Like, you can put the numbers wherever you like. And so, as a general rule, I would say you can even create your own race with sign-off from a Dungeon Master. So what I would say to you is don't worry about all the guides out there that tell you this race is the best to have as this particular class. Generally, that's not important. That's for optimizers and power gamers. If that's your thing, you're in the wrong place, because I don't really do that here, okay? What I will do is say that I think you should do the things that are going to make you feel happy, that other people will be willing to deal with at the table, and what will help the Dungeon Master run their adventure or campaign. And if you can get that done, you're on the right track. That's really the only thing that's important. I will also say, please select adventuring gear. It's easy to do. Any player character can do it because there's no requirements in terms of the rules about who can buy what. You can just go and buy stuff. You will probably only have about 10 gold when you start out, but that's enough to buy lots of very useful things. In fact, it helps you prepare yourself for the challenges and trials that you will be facing in your campaign and in the adventures that you run through. It does help you with the adventure itself. I even have a whole series that explains how to use mundane equipment like chalk and rope and a 10-foot pole and grappling hooks and various other things, flour. I know that sounds ridiculous, but seriously, they do have a use. So make sure you get some decent adventuring gear into your pack and on your character. Now, this has been my attempt to give you as much as I can around the basics of building a character for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. And frankly, there's lots of advice out there. You don't have to agree with what I've presented. All I'm trying to do is make this as streamlined for you as possible rather than to get too complicated. And please let me know in the comment section what sort of questions you have, what sort of feedback you want to give. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Stop worrying, people. I just need to take a quick break before I talk about the fighter. I haven't finished. What I do have to do is I need to actually skip on over to a different screen, scroll on down to my notes, and I have to thank all of my friends, my close friends, for helping me put this together, because without them, you would not have got this. It would not have been as good as it would have been. If it had just been my opinion, it probably would have been a bit holy, and there might have been it might not have been that great. So thank you to all of the people who are in my home group. Okay, let's talk about this next topic, which is the fighter basics, and actually building a fighter for the first time. The basics to the basics to building a fighter for a beginner in terms of character creation. I'm not going to give you anything that's optimized. I'm just going to give you the absolute raw and essentials, and then after that it's up to you. Okay? Strength or dexterity should be your highest ability score, because it's directly connected to how well you fight with a melee or a ranged weapon. What I will say is you need to decide, is it going to be strength or is it going to be dexterity? Okay? It's probably not a good idea to try to pick up both and max both out at the same time. It's probably not a good idea, okay, because you don't need to. It's wise to increase either your strength, if that's the one you're going to focus on, or your dexterity to 20 reasonably quickly, okay, because it does affect so much in terms of how your character operates. Constitution is your second most important ability score, because it's related to how long your fighter survives in a battle, and your fighter might very well be in the front line. Fighters tend to be in the front line, so that means they're more likely to get hit and more likely to take damage, lose hit points, so you need to survive longer. Constitution will allow you to do that. Proficiency with the athletic skill, or which is actually strength based. Now, if you're going to pick up proficiency in athletics, only do so if you're focusing on strength. If that's your primary ability score, then take athletics as your skill. Otherwise, you can pick up acrobatics if you have decided your primary ability score is going to be dexterity. Pick up acrobatics because it's related to that. It's expected from a fighter because they're going to need to do a lot of grappling. They might get grappled. In fact, they probably will get grappled by a creature at some point, which means you need to be able to break out of that grapple. Otherwise, you're going to get killed. Okay, and you're also kind of expected as a fighter to be able to do physical tasks. And athletics and acrobatics allows you to do something that's physical, whether that is walk along a tightrope, move something that's very heavy, all those sorts of things. athletics will come into that. Jumping, swimming, so forth. Decide what type of fighter you want. Do you want a close quarter melee fighter? If you do, okay, that's great. Your primary ability score would be strength, if that's what you're going to focus on only. If you've decided that your fighter is going to be a ranged fighter and do so at a distance and not be in the front line, then your dexterity modifier, your dexterity ability score is going to be your primary ability, okay? So if that's what you've picked up, that's what you're going for. Or if you've decided to go with a combination of melee and ranged, which you can do, then dexterity is going to probably be the one that needs to be your primary ability score. So there's a couple of things you need to think about in advance before you decide whether you go primary strength or primary dexterity. After that, fighting styles for the fighter are important. Figure out which ones are going to work for you. If you're going to go with a fighter that's going to use primarily ranged attacks, take the archery fighting style. If you've decided that melee or close quarter combat is what you want, then you're going to take something like two-weapon fighting or great weapon fighting or the defense fighting style or even the dueling fighting style. Each of these does something different, okay? Two-weapon fighting means that you can hold two light weapons in your hands and fight fairly effectively. And in combination with other things such as feats, it will make it even more effective. Great weapon fighting means that basically you can use two-handed weapons more efficiently than normal. Defense means that you're more defensive. Okay, in other words, you're concentrating on your armor. And dueling is more about using one weapon really effectively in one hand. Okay, as if you are dueling in the south of France behind the stables while nobody's looking. If you want to wear heavy plate armor, such as plate armor, the maximum armor that you can get in the game, okay, if that's what you want, you will need to have a strength score of 15 to meet that requirement. This is going to be probably more suitable to a character who has selected strength as their primary ability score. Yep. If you want to wear medium half plate armor, you will want your dexterity score to be about a 14 to benefit from the bonus. Anything higher than that, it's kind of a waste. There is a requirement in terms of strength on half plate armor as well, if I remember right. But in terms of trying to benefit from that dexterity modifier, you probably want something like that. Otherwise, you're kind of losing out. Now, there are plenty of fighters that have been run in the game for Dungeons & Dragons 5e that do not wear plate armor or half plate armor. They wear breastplate, okay, which is medium armor. And that's perfectly fine. That gives you the best of both worlds. You get a reasonable armor class, you get plenty of mobility, and you can avoid some of the pitfalls that heavy armor offer. And so there is a good argument to be said that you don't always have to be wearing plate armor or half plate armor. The best feats for a fighter will generally be alert, because alert means you are less likely to be surprised. You get a better chance of being higher in the initiative because of alert. Gives you a +5. The crossbow expert, if you want to sort of specialize in the crossbow and at ranged attacks. Dual wielding, that feat is great if you want to go two-weapon fighting, okay? You probably want to use that in combination with the fighting style two-weapon fighting. So dual wielder is good for that. Great weapon fighting, should I say great weapon master, probably not something you want until about level 4. And it works pretty well if you are using a weapon that is being held in two hands. Heavy armor master, now, it seems like that might be a bit odd, but under the right circumstances, it works pretty well as well. I mean, the reality is this particular feat works pretty effectively at low level. If you're winding up in a game that goes to mid-range to high level, it's going to be less useful to you. Lucky is always useful to any class because you get to re-roll 3 dice, essentially, okay? Martial Adept, also a very good feat for a fighter, depending on what you want to do. Mobile is great for a fighter if you want to get in and out of the battle, melee, or close quarter combat, or you want to move around the battle around the enemy front line to the back line and hit the big bad or the wizards that are throwing fireballs at you. Pole Arm Master, great because you get a longer reach with the weapons that you're using. Sentinel, probably more useful at level 4 in combination with something like Pole Arm Master if you've already got that. Otherwise, Sentinel really doesn't become useful until about level 8 when you get the opportunity to pick that up. Sharpshooter, excellent feat. An absolutely excellent feat if you are going with something like ranged attacks, because you get to get rid of that disadvantage at long range with your shots. You get to get past all of the penalties of cover, and there's a bunch of other bonuses as well that you can use with this feat that simply need to be selective when you use it. That's essentially what I'm going to say. Okay, tough means you get more hit points. So again, pretty useful for a fighter. More hit points is always useful. That pretty much covers everything I have to say. Okay, I am done. We're going to go back to my face. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to collect myself before we do some character building. That's right, people. We do character building here. I was not joshing with you at all. I'm quite serious. So, for those of you who are very new, I would really like to know who you are. The best way to support this particular program, continuing this is a weekly program where I go through all of the different classes, covering the basics of how to do character creation. And this time around, I'm using D&D Beyond. Once I've done all of the classes, we'll go back through and I'll probably do it on a PDF. After that, I'll probably do it on something else like pen and pencil and paper. Do you know what I mean? So I want to sort of do this a couple of different ways. Now, this is just the mechanical side of creating a character. There is the story side of creating a character. That's a very personal thing. I'm not going to advise you on that because that's none of my business or anybody else's, frankly. Okay? That's something you personally, when you're creating your character, that's your business, and the Dungeon Master's business that you're playing with, and the players at your group or table. That's their business and your business, mate. I don't want to have any part of that. I don't need to get involved in that. Okay? I'm just helping you with the math side of stuff, essentially, and the process. The best way, as I said, to support this channel is on Patreon. Everything that I do here goes up there. You'll find if you are a player and not a Dungeon Master, you probably get a lot less. But there is a lot of stuff up there that will be useful to you as well. You just need to go scrolling through there, and there's a lot of posts. I can't tell you how many. There's a lot. Otherwise, super chats and super stickers are always welcome as well. Okay, let's have a look at the poll and then go to the chat, and then it's time to build a character. Get your dice ready. Make sure you have a way of, if you're building a character with me today, which you can, make sure you have your character sheet ready or your laptop open and your phone going so you can listen to me. Is this the first time you have created a fighter for Dungeons & Dragons 5e? So yes, 18% out of 22. Okay, 68% said no. Unfinished, nobody. Just watching, 14%. Okay, good to know. Right. Drink of water. Hello, Scott. How are you? How are you doing? Noroak is a patron. Hello, how are you? He supports me on Patreon. Hello, Sika. Welcome, Sika. Sika supports me in a way he does not want to share. But it's very important, particularly for today. Forrest Rico. How are you, Forrest? Welcome. What do you got here? I'm a big fan of the 5th edition character sheet on the Google Play Store. Yes, so I still use the 5th edition character sheet on my phone. Like I literally, I mean, I can build a character with a 5th edition character sheet. It's an app. I can do that in about 2 minutes. I can have a level 1 character ready to go. It's that easy. Now, a lot of the features aren't named as they would be normally because of copyright. So he's had to reword things a little bit. Hello, Andrew. How are you? My first time catching a live chat. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it, Andrew. Welcome. We've got Matt Walker here. Welcome back, Matt. How are you? Leatherface. I remember Leatherface. How are you? Welcome back to the chat. I'm fighter main. I didn't want to miss this. That's fine. I mean, look, I mean, I don't know if you have done a lot of stuff before, this might not be useful to you. Usually at this point, we go through the process so we can educate the new people, but it's also an excuse for us to goof off because it's fun to make characters and we have a lot of fun doing this. We will be very shortly anyway. I think I've probably played more fighters than anything else, and nowadays I don't play that many. Why is that? I don't know. I guess there's a point where it's not because I got bored. I think it's just because I fighted myself out. I want to try some stuff I haven't done. I mean, I get to be a player more than a dungeon master, but there is a point where you like the idea of actually trying something different, and that's where my head is at. Yep. Okay, so I got the chat going here. I'm going to work my way through here quickly. Rune Knights I found a very complicated subclass, frankly. Not my favorite, but I know it's very strong. Okay, so they're having a chat about that. Michael Scott. Hello, Michael Scott. Tom Bradley, if you are watching, I love you. I don't know. Hello, Paul. How are you, Paul? I'm fast approaching becoming a patron member as soon as I apparently can. Okay, so Destructible Me, hello, love fighters. Let's do this. Shall we just make one? It is now. It's almost 11:40. No, 11:40 p.m. for you, Matt. Well, it is 12:38 p.m. in the afternoon for me. So since I'm here, since you're here, let's get a character made, shall we? Now, for those of you who don't know how this works, you need to participate, because if you don't, this is going to suck. It really is. It's appallingly boring for me and for everybody else. So we really need you to actually participate. Otherwise, it's no fun whatsoever. Okay, so let's just see if I can get this right. The last time I did this, I might have messed things up, but we'll see. Okay, well, I'm transitioning over, and it would be really helpful if anybody here is very new to the game and needs us to help make them a character. Now is the time to let me know. Like, literally, now is the time to say, Fred, I actually need help building my first character. Can we do this? So I'm on D&D Beyond. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything to sign up to this. There's some of the options here I definitely pay. I'm going to show you how to build a character without spending any money first. But I'm going to also make sure that I have enough space for characters. So I'm going to collections, my characters, and I have 2 slots left. So if you don't have a paid account, I can at least have 6 characters free before it becomes a problem. When I want to create my character, okay, go in there and you press the create a character button. And it takes you to 3 options. I can go randomize, which we're not going to do, quick build, which we're not going to do, standard, system, and you can click the box text. But here's the thing. I have access to everything on here. Okay, so we can build whatever you like. And so I'm going to suggest that you tell me, do I need to post? I suppose what I could do is I could post a question in the chat and then you could answer it. We've got that new feature, remember, that apparently YouTube has incorporated that allows us to actually do something like that. So I'll just go back to this screen quickly and I'll put in a question. There's a plus button. Start a Q&A. Do you want to use the free options or everything? Question. Start that Q&A. There we go. So we've got the poll going, got our Q&A question going. I'm going to let you guys figure that out while I transition back to where I was before. So for those of you who are unaware, this is a new feature that YouTube is using, right? And Hello, Nacho. Nacho Man is also a patron. Supports me on Patreon to do this. Everybody's saying hi to each other. So let's get into this because you waited long enough. Okay, let's scroll on back. Where's my screen? I got to make sure I got that right. There, and that screen there, and back over. Okay, there we go. Windows. Fred, is your Monsters of the Multiverse review Friday? Yes, Friday in New Zealand, Thursday in North America. That's right. So nobody said anything about what they want in that Q&A. Kind of a shame. So I'm going to go with, let's use the free option. Like we just won't spend any money. Like nobody said, like, Fred, use everything. Friday in New Zealand, it would be 10 a.m., not 12 p.m. It's a different time. Okay, I have to run a little bit earlier that day. For North America, it depends on where you are. So it's about 2 hours earlier than I normally run my live stream. Free Leatherface, thank you. We've got it. We're using the free one. So here we go. Press that button. Scrolling down, it shows you a little bit of the information that you'll need. There's a previous button. There's a next button. So go next. Now you can select a character. You guys can pick up a character name right now. Okay, and that's fine. I can randomize it. I can just press the button and randomize it. There's a button there to do that. Okay, I can pick something that I can actually pronounce. Arain could be. You can also use the website Fantasy Name Generator below here. It's actually really good. It has fantasy names, but it also has names all around the world that you can cannibalize. Hello, Overboard Miniature Gaming. Hello, Joe. Overboard Miniature Gaming has a YouTube channel, does miniatures and dice and terrain and reviews, and he's also a patron and a moderator. Thank you for showing up. You're airbrushing right now? Oh, you keep going and doing your painting, not a problem. Both free. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Got that, Paul. That's all good. So, I'm gonna let you guys have an opportunity to change the name. Create a name. Create a name. And I feel like, if I see a good one, then I will change out that name there. So what we do is we can hit this little plus sign that has like a portrait, and that will allow us to put in a portrait. But I'm not going to do that yet because we don't know what we are yet, do we? Homebrew, not going to bother with that. Critical Role, we can turn that on. Magic the Gathering, Eberron, we can turn on Rick and Morty if you like. And non-core, we can do that as well. I think we can. Non-core, something like that. We can enable the dice rolling on the app. Tony Bloodsgood. Thank you, Paul. Okay, I'll bear that one in mind. Optional class features. Well, I suppose we could turn that on. Customizing your origins if you wanted. Yep, we'll turn that on. Oh, you used Xanathar's Guide, the name generating thing, and you got Urban's Big Toe. Orban Big Toe. Shercrow, Noric. I love it. Okay, milestones. Talk to your dungeon master. Are you going to be using experience points or milestones? Select the one that's appropriate. Since I'm your dungeon master for today, I'm picking milestones. Hit points. You can manually enter them. You can select the manual option, or you can go with fixed. I'm going to go with fixed. You can turn on feats, multi-classing requirements, but we're only going to level 1, so it's not going to make much difference. Show level scaling for spells. I'll turn that on as well. Sharuk. I actually like his spelling. I'm actually going to go back and put it in there. Do you use encumbrance? Yes, 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 yes. No, 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 no. It's up to you. I'm going to just leave it on. You can turn on the coin weight if you like, or turn it off. It's up to you. Depends on what your dungeon master requires. Here's the first thing I would say to you is, seriously, I would go with the modifier rather than the ability score. The ability score you use less often. That's the bigger number. The smaller number is the modifier, and you probably want that to be at the top and be larger so you can see it clearly. So I'm going to leave that at the top. Modifier at the top, large number. Public, that's cool. We're going to go in here. I'm going to change our name because somebody came up with a much better name than I had. Sure. Crew. Okay, we've got a name. We've made out a lot of choices, so we can now continue on. Go next. We're going to select a race. This is broken down to all sorts of different things. We haven't actually selected it here. We're going to be doing that right now, people. So I have only the free options available, so you cannot go asking for too many crazy things. I'll let you know what they are in a second, but give me a second. Hashtag pick a free race. Hopefully that is clear. Okay. First in, first serve. So that's so we've got Aarakocra. We could use the Aarakocra. It's free from the Elemental Evil Player's Companion. We can use the custom lineage. Apparently that's free. Dragonborn, we could use that. Dwarf, Elf, Genasi, Gnome, Goliath, Half Elf, Half Orc, Halfling, Human. There's a lot of he's and Tiefling. Is it Tiefling? And then the variant Azimar. Dun, dun, dun. What will it be? Manticore yesterday. A good fighter. So I'm going to have a drink of water while you guys decide on what you prefer to have as the race for today. Okay? These are our choices. What's that, Paul? I'm a nasty DM. It's XP and you're in charge of recording it. Getting it wrong. I used to do the XP recording thing, but after a point I just got too frustrated with the whole process. We're not doing a Manticore. It's these options here, people. Don't derail the live stream. I know you can't help it sometimes, people. I know you're having a good time. We're not doing that. Give me a choice. Come on, please pick something. I've shown you what the options are. Anybody, somebody, I'm praying. Variant Human. I am not going to be able to pronounce your name. Oh, mate. I'm not even going to try, dude. I'm just going to acknowledge that you put down Variant Human before everybody else. Thank you very much. Let's go. Human. Variant. Have we actually done a variant human yet? I don't know if we have. Is this the first time? So we get a few things. We get a language, which is going to be common. We get an extra language, which is fine. That's cool. We're going to pick one of those pretty soon. 2 different ability scores of our choice increased by 1. We get proficiency in a skill that we get to choose. We get a feat, which means we're using feats, which means we're using the... it's all right. It's all right. We're using the free feats, so we're going to be very, very heavily restricted. I don't know that this is going to work very well because if I remember right, and you may want to change your mind, is that I don't think that the feats are even free. I think that all the feats are very it would be very restrictive. I think you're going to dislike this as a way to go. We'll see how we go. It might wind up turning bad on us. You've been watching us. Well, let's see. I don't think we're going to be able to do feats for free. I just don't think that D&D Beyond is set up that way. But we will see. We'll have a look right now, and if we can't do it, then we know that we'll just have to just do a different race. Okay, well, it gives us quite a few different feats. But as you can see, it gives us crap. I don't think this is going to work. I really think this is not going to work, people. There isn't a single feat on here that I suggested. I think most of these feats are just not going to work. So it was a nice idea, but if we're doing it free, you have to pay to get the feats. So we're going to go... Noroak, you said Tiefling. We're going to go back. We're just going to have to change it. There's no way we're going to be able to do a variant human. Change the race. Sorry about that. Just not the free option. Dark vision, hellish resistance, fire damage, yeehaw. We don't need to worry about that. Okay, cool. Let's hit this button. We get a cantrip. 3rd level spells later on. Okay, so that's it. So we actually don't have any choices to make. So if we're going to do variant human in the future, you have to select, I want the paid version. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, it won't work. Hello, ugly weirdo. How are you? Right, so we've got dark vision, which is great. Like, doesn't every race have that? We have fire resistance, and we get our thaumaturgy cantrip. Sweet. Okay, moving along. Is there anything else there that we get? No, most of that stuff you've got to wait for later on. Okay, so class. We know what our class is going to be. You showed up for a fighter, so it would be very strange for us to go, oh, what class should we select? Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to pick the fighter, of course. So we get a fighting style, second wind, action surge will come up later on, and there's other stuff here, but we're really not dealing with too much. Okay, so if you see a blue exclamation mark, it means this is something you need to select. Okay. Your level is selected here. There's a drop-down menu. We are level 1, so we'll do that. Your first level character will have maximum hit points, so you have a 10-sided dice for your hit dice. So that means instead of rolling or using average the first time, the first level, it's maximum. So you get 10 on a 10-sided dice. Plus your constitution modifier, which we don't know what that is yet. We will figure that out very shortly. Just bear with me, people. I am just going to make my face a little bit bigger because we kind of can, and that will hopefully help with today. Okay, there we go. You'll let me know, please, if my head is too big. There's multiple things going on there. Proficiency. So you remember how I said, like, pick acrobatics or athletics? Like, we don't even know what we are going to decide on. Are we going to go strength? Are we going to go dexterity at this point? We don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go athletics, and we can go back and change this if we need to. But I want you to pick another skill. Don't just pick physical skills, people. Here we go. Hashtag. Pick a skill for this fighter, and I will add that in. Now, if you're going to use feats, so what are your choices? We have survival, perception is like the super skill. There's nothing wrong with taking it. Intimidation, insight, history, animal handling, acrobatics. So out of those skills, which ones would you prefer the second skill to be? My suggestion is don't say acrobatics, because we can change it to acrobatics if we wind up going dex. Right now I've selected athletics just for the sake of it. That's exactly right. Survival. So Noroak said survival. Survival it is. We'll pick survival. Now, fighting style. I think this is going to, essentially, now you can pick whatever you like, people. I'm going to type it in. Don't give me the answer till I've typed it in. Pick a fighting style. Don't type it. Don't press the button till my message goes through. Here we go. My message is through. What do you want? What will it be, people? Too late. We've got survival now. We've got survival, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with survival. Survival's all good. But we need a fighting style now. So what are our options? As I said before, we have archery. We've got blind fighting, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, interception, protection, superior technique, throwing weapon fighting, two-weapon fighting. Look, a lot of these other ones I would just ignore. Got to bail. Have a good stream. No, thank you, Nacho Man. I'll catch up with you either tomorrow or the day after, probably on Friday, right, for New Zealand, that is, when I'm covering the monsters of the multiverse. So I've got survival, but what I need, Paul and everybody else who's still here, is I need you to select a fighting style. Dueling is good. Okay, well, let's go dueling. That means we're going one-handed. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. We don't need to worry about making any other choices. We have got all the things we require. So, dueling suggests a couple of different things. Now, dueling potentially means we can go melee or a combination of melee and ranged, depending on what we want to do, right? Because right now it gives us a +2 bonus to damage rolls when we wield a melee weapon in one hand, okay, and have no other weapons. Right, so this is our selection. We will move on to the next stage. We have to determine our ability scores. Now, we're not actually locked in at this present time. It would be fine at this point to go strength or dexterity, but the method that we select is important now. Andrew, we are currently a tiefling. Hashtag. Pick an ability generation, ability score generation method. So we're going to use, there's 3. We can use the standard array, which we get 6 different numbers, we just place them. We can use the point by, where we get a certain number of points. We can allocate those points however we like. We could manually roll the dice. Now you can manually roll the dice on your table if you want, or D&D Beyond has a dice roller that you can use. I'll be using the dice roller on D&D Beyond if we decide to do it with dice. Duelist or a defense. Okay, rolling. Andrew, you are the one. We are rolling. You guys just like rolling the dice. You know why it is? Because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to roll the dice. This is your home again, home away from home, a new home away from home. Who knows? So we'll do some dice rolling. It's very simple. We're going to press this button, and it will start rolling some dice. Next time, Paul will do point by. We'll see how the chat responds to all of this. So roll. Press the button. There's our 4 dice. So we get a 5, a 5, a 3, and a 1. We drop the lowest number, which is the 1, which means we get a total of 13. It's not too bad. It's a pretty good roll. And the next one, I've got a 5, a 2. You can't see the 5, another 2, and a 4. So we're going to be dropping one of the 2s. We get an 11. Sorry, my head is in the way of the 5. So if you couldn't see the 5, it's because my big head is in the way. Sorry about that. Roll again. Oh, they're all in the way. 5, 4, 1, and 2. So that means we drop the 1, we get another 11. It's pretty average right now. Nothing huge. I rolled a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 2, which means when I went up with an 8, we drop the 1. Ooh, some fairly low numbers there. Keep going. Sometimes it's a benefit and sometimes it isn't. I got a 3, a 5, a 6, and a 2. So the 2's the lowest number. We drop that. We get a 14. 14's all right. There's nothing wrong with a 14. And then the last number, the last roll we do, we get a 3, a 4, and a 6. It's not too bad either. So that's drop the 3 because it's one of the lower numbers. And we have determined all of our scores. Now, this is a choice time point. This is where you actually decide how we're doing this. Are we going to go dex? Are we going to go strength? Okay, which is going to be the higher one? Which is our primary that we're going to select? Pick primary ability score. This is the one that we're going to put the biggest number in. Okay, our biggest number is a 14. So is it going to be dexterity or is it going to be strength? Because we're a fighter. So dexterity or strength. Yes, look, I mean that's the nature. If you roll low, then you roll low. Strength, Andrew, thank you. Quick off the bat there. Norok also agrees. That's fine. We'll go strength. Okay, so that suddenly just eliminated some options here. So next, we are obviously going to be going with 13 is going to have to go into Constitution. Okay, and then we'll make some choices. Now the only reason I've taken away that choice is it would be silly not to do that. Like we've got 3 13s, one of them's going to be Constitution. But we do have another 13. Hashtag, what do we want for the 13? This is my question to you. So we have 4 options. We can go dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Just because you're playing a fighter does not mean it needs to be dexterity. it is perfectly fine to build a fighter that can fight and be charismatic, or is extremely wise or intelligent and knows lots of stuff. And in fact, I think if anything, the optimization and power gaming community have actually kind of boxed in character building way too much. So what would you like? Charisma. Charisma it is. Thank you, Andrew. Norok went wisdom. I'm glad to see that you guys have actually decided, yeah, let's try something a little bit different. Good. Okay. So our next one, well, look, let's pick the lowest number. What will the 8 go into? What is the one that we're going to sort of potentially dump? What do we allocate to the 8? Because let's just pick the lowest one, because we know what the other answers will be. Our primary is strength. We've got that already, Paul. Second, 13 in wisdom. No, we already know that it's already picked. So I'm happy. But which one do you want to dump? Because you've got 2 11s here. Int. You want to dump the int? Sure, you can dump the int. Whoops, wrong one. Int. So the other 2 will be dexterity and wisdom. 11s aren't really going to do us much good. Now, once you've done that, we need to press the button that says, there's a green button here that says apply ability scores. Once we've got them assigned, you've got to press this button, otherwise you've lost everything. Okay? Thank you for everybody's contribution. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. So now that we've done that, if we scroll down, you can see it's allocated the numbers. We can see what the changes that took place. Our strength is a 14, nothing wrong with that. Okay. Our dexterity is an 11. Okay. Constitution is 13. If we keep scrolling down, intelligence. Okay, intelligence is actually an 8, but we have a modifier, racial modifier, it makes it go up by 1. So it's actually a 9, but it's still going to be a penalty on our modifier. Okay, or should I say bonus? Racial bonus goes to 9, modifier -1 still. Wisdom is going to be 11, and our charisma actually winds up being a 15. So we've actually got a charismatic fighter because we're playing a tiefling. This is an indication of, so that means that we're probably going to be covering 2 of the pillars fairly well mathematically. Now it comes down to how we do everything else. No, well, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to play your character like Sylvester Stallone or Rocky or Rambo or anything like that, do you? Do you really need to do that? Probably not. So let's move on, since we've got that all sorted out. I'm pretty sure it's all done. Yeah, it is all done. Go next. Describing your character. We're going to select a background. Again, I will remind you, your background selection, it has to be one of the free options that are available, and there are very few, but also too, it doesn't have to relate to our race or class. That is unimportant. Pick a background. Pick a background. Okay, I'll tell you what they are, and you tell me what you want. We've got acolyte, we've got criminal or spy, we've got folk hero, haunted one, noble, sage, soldier. There is the option to go custom. Now, the only reason I'm not going to press custom is because even if we did custom, we're only going to be limited to all of the features that are part of this anyway. So it wouldn't make any difference. Okay? And we'd have to type in stuff. I don't want to do that. Be gentle with me. Urchin. Urchin is not one of the free options, Paul. Taking a pet mouse. Yeah, so you're going to have to pick. You see the ones that are on the screen right now? You should be able to see them. You have to decide on one of those. There aren't too many options, unfortunately. This is what happens when we go with the free option on D&D Beyond. If we'd gone with pay everything one, then we could take whatever we like. So I need somebody else other than Paul to make a choice. Acolyte, criminal, spy, folk hero, haunted one, noble, sage, or soldier. It's got to be one of those. And then once we've selected that, we're going to make some choices because there will be a few things we need to select. Oh, there we go. I'm almost there. Okay, Andrew, entertainer, gladiator variant. So to give you an idea, you see the ones on the screen that I just mentioned. Those are the only options that we get on the free version. We can't put anything else. So entertainer, gladiator version, it's not an option. So you have to pick one of the ones that are there. Okay. Select hashtag. Select from the how many are there? 7 options. Folk hero. Okay, finally. Yes, so not entertainer would be nice, but we can't do that because it's not on the list. But thankfully, thanks to thanks to somebody who's been paying attention. Come on, people. All right, you got fixated. If you want the free stuff, guys, you just got to say, and we'll do that. Okay, now, we've picked our background. We've got some things we've got to do. We've got to pick a skill, some tools, and we'll go through the other stuff in a second. Get your dice ready, people. You're going to be rolling dice very shortly. Balls. Exactly. All right, let's select our image for our character. So we've got a whole lot of portraits when we press the plus sign on the portrait, and we can pick something that we think is appropriate. I feel like... What one do we want? It's hard to know. I'll go with this one. Oh, he looks so evil. He looks so evil. He doesn't look so evil. That's less evil. Let's go with this one here. Pick this one here. There we go. I don't know if that's necessarily how you should look. Oh, you can't see the list on the screen? Oh, I thought it was showing up. Okay, all good. You can't see the drop downs? Interesting. So how come... Interesting. Oh, that's a shame. I'll have to make sure I read out everything if some of you are not seeing the drop downs. Okay. Hashtag. Pick a skill. Now, the skills that we get animal handling, but you get to pick one. Now, why is that? It's probably because one of our skills we already get as a... folk hero has already been selected. So you get to pick acrobatics, arcana, deception, history, insight, intimidation, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, persuasion, performance, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and that is all of them. There's a lot. In other words, you can pick pretty much any of the skills for this background. So we are essentially, if you hadn't figured it out, we are about to make a slight alteration to the standard. Hi, Dan. Hall, how are you, Dan? How are you? Nice day. Yes, folk hero with charisma. I think that works. Does that work for you? I think it works for me. What I would like, though, is I would like, Dan, for you or somebody to select a skill for this character. I've got a folk hero, and I would like a skill. Now we do have charisma, so you could select a charisma-based skill. You could go persuasion or deception or intimidation. What would happen? How would the world cope if we had a fighter who was good at fighting but was actually good at persuasion, like just persuading people? How would that work? Norok, Arcana would be fun considering the low int. Arcana. Paul, hello, Paul. He's like, okay. We'll do it. It's fine. I mean, you know, let's do it. I keep saying break out of the mold. We'll break out of the mold. Not a problem. We need a tool. Pick a tool. We have a lot of tools. Hashtag. Pick a tool. No. A tool. There we go. We're picking tools now. So the tools that we have access to, for those of you who are unaware, is we have the alchemist supplies, the brewer's supplies if you want to get drunk a lot, the calligrapher, carpenter, cartographer if you want to do mapping. We have cobblers, we've got the cook's utensils, the glass blower tools, jeweler, leatherwork, mason tools, painter's supplies, potter tools, smiths, tinkers, weaver, woodcarver. What tool would you like with this background? I just cut number 1 down and put this aside. With so many people here, I would have thought people would have been typing in here madly. Smith's tools, done. That was nice and easy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't even want to shorten your name because I just feel like it's just gonna come off as being a dick move. So yeah, but thank you for saying something. So we've got some choices. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Rustic hospitality, so we know what that is. Our character, dice time. We're going to do our personality traits. So hashtag. It's funny as. So pick. Not pick. Roll 2d8. We're doing the personality traits. So I'm waiting for the dice rolling, wizards. Make sure you have 6-sided dice ready after that. Now that I've put that in, I'm ready and waiting for my numbers. So you'll see that there's a red button that says plus. You get to just press that. You select 2. If you don't like these, you can just go in there and manually enter whatever you like. You can make up whatever personality trait you would prefer. Yev is good. Is phonetic. Yeah, but remember, phonetics is different depending on what part of the world you're in. But no, Yev, I can hand. If you're right with Yev, I'll do that. Leatherface got a 3. Thank you for that. Dan's putting in persuasion. He doesn't agree with Arcana. It's all right. You can put Dan. You can put in persuasion on your own character. It's all good. So let's go with the 3. What is 3? When I set my mind to something, I follow through no matter what gets in my way. Let's do the 3. We selected it. Next number. Norok got a 4 and a 2, so we'll take the 4 since that's the first number you've rolled up, which is good. 4. I have a strong sense of fair play and always try to find the most equitable solution to arguments. So we select this as well. So we have 2. Okay, now I'm going to get you to start rolling some 6-sided dice, people. Hashtag. Roll 3. Sorry, 3. Don't put your numbers in yet. 3 d6 or 6-sided dice. So we're going to use the first number that you roll is going to be the ideal. The second number will be bond. And the last number that you've rolled that you give me will be the floor. So I should get 3 numbers from you, all rolled on a 6-sided dice. So I'm waiting for those to come through. You could be full of hot air. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you could say that about many people. I was about to say something and I won't say it. Oh, dear. Okay. So while I wait for the numbers to come through. So even though I'm going to select stuff off these tables, again, you are allowed to go in there and edit those things. You can change them, make them whatever you like. This is where you get ultimate freedom. Like, if you look at the game in terms of character creation, it's basically a bunch of restrictions and limitations, and you could say they're options, but they are restrictions and limitations when you codify the game. This is where you get to do whatever you like, okay? And potentially you can change it over time as well, which is like fun. Characters do evolve, right? Norok, you got a 2, a 6, and a 2. Thank you. You are. Well, here we look. Somebody else got a lot of 2s as well. Like you can see the 2s are coming up. Even Paul got a lot of 2s. So let's have a look at ideals too. Fairness. No one should get preferential treatment before the law, and no one's above the law. So lawful. Okay. Again, if you don't like this, just pick something else or make it up. Okay, so the next number you got, Norok, was 6 for bond. What did you get? I wish my childhood sweetheart had come with me to pursue my destiny. Interesting. I feel like this childhood sweetheart is now a target by the dungeon for the dungeon master to kill, or capture. Or capture, not just kill, or capture. Loaded dice, possibly. I think you'll find that most dice are loaded, or unbalanced, whatever you want to call it. 2. Now our floor is number 2. Thank you, Norok, and thank you, Paul. What do you got here? I'm convinced of the significance of my destiny and blind to my shortcomings and the risk of failure. Well, good. That will work. We'll hit that button. Okay, so we've selected. To go in here, you go to character details. This will give you, look, the alignment. I'm just going to go neutral. I'm not going to worry about selecting alignment. You can create, if you want to create a guide, people, and tell me what it is, or select a guide, I'll put it in. But right now, I'm going to leave the faith section. I will get you to select the lifestyle. Hashtag. Pick a lifestyle. And I'll tell you what the lifestyles are, because apparently the drop-down menu is not showing for some people. That's not really helpful at all, but let's just explain what we've got here. We've got wretched, squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, or aristocrat. Aristocrat means like squalid. Paul is got in there. We are squalid. We are poor. We need money. Okay. You can type in the details for your hair, skin, eyes, height, weight, age, gender. I'm not doing any of that. I'm leaving that alone because what I want to do is something else. So you see, if you want to go into edit any of these aspects of your character, personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, it's the green button that says edit traits. You click that button. You can go in there, make adjustments. Okay, very easily. Whoops. There we go. And close it, and change is made. Very simple, so you can adjust it. How's it going, Dungeons and Chronics? Welcome back to the live stream. What a word. Yeah, it is. Paul, you're right. Wanted urchin before. Okay, so we're moving down. We've got our notes, so you can add in, there's a green button to add in notes for organizations, allies, enemies, backstory. So if you want to type, if you've got your backstory somewhere and you want to plop it into your character, you can. And then other notes if you have them, okay? If you're the sort of person who likes writing notes, then this is the right time, of course. Okay, so we'll move on. Now we're doing equipment. Now we're not a spellcaster, so we're pretty close to the end of this, people. So we're going to go, as I said before, you have the option of spending just the gold and selecting absolutely everything. It's not a good idea. It's time consuming and it's a bit complicated. I would go with select equipment. It will give you a pre-packaged, some options. You just pick what is ever's here. Okay, so do we want chainmail or leather armor with a long bow and 2 arrows? Probably chainmail would make more sense because just seems to make more sense. But here we go. Hashtag. Pick chainmail. Where's it? Oh gosh, mail or leather armor. Remember, the leather armor option gives us a longbow and 2 arrows. Even if you have a fighter and you're not very good at ranged attacks, you should always take a ranged weapon, even if you're not very good at it. can't count the number of times that I've seen people who have a fighter, they're proficient in the longbow, they don't have a particularly high modifier for their dexterity, and they just don't take a longbow. And like, it's not the right idea. What happens if you have no other choice but to shoot something at distance? You got to take it with you. You know what I mean? Chain. Yiv is in there for the win. You've got it. Chain it is. We can always go back at some point and buy a longbow and arrows if we need to. So martial weapons and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. So this is, remember, we're a jeweler, okay? So there are some things to consider when you're dual wielding. It's like, what's the deal? Do we really need the shield bonus? It's not going to really work with the build that we have. You know what I mean? 2 martial weapons might be better, but let's go with this. Hashtag pick 2 martial weapons or martial weapon and shield. Okay, I've typed it in. A battle axe. So Yev has gone with, he reckons we should go with battle axe and a shield. Now remember the fighting style we picked up. We've got dueling. When you wield a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls with that weapon. So we can actually do that and it won't affect our dual wielding, okay? Because it didn't say, shield's not a weapon, it's armor. So we can do that. So Yev, let's do your martial. You said battle axe. Thank you for picking out exactly what you wanted. So you said battle axe, didn't you? I've kind of broken my rules for around. Don't type it in until I've put in my thing. Okay, so now here we go. We've got some long range weapons. Okay. Oh, has somebody already voted something in? That'll speed things up. 2 throwing axes. Dungeons and Chronics. Sure, let's just do that now. Let's pick that. You're a fighter. You're going to wind up picking up lots of gear along the way. Now pick a pack. Pick a pack. It's going to be your Explorer or the Dungeoneer. Explorer or Dungeon. Why am I not over Dungeoneer? Oops. Oh, corrective. Phone buttons suck. Okay, it's supposed to be Dungeoneer's pack. Okay, it's supposed to be Dungeoneer and Explorer, and somehow I got Dungeoneer. There is no Dungeoneer pack. If you find a Dungeoneer pack, let me know. But that was an accident. That was not intended. I think we can already decide what tool we're going to pick because Paul, we've already got it. We've got a 2-handed axe. Okay, we've got a 2-handed axe already. We're going to have to either steal or buy ourselves a crossbow at some point, which is fine. Smith's tools. So I'm going to say we have Smith's tools. We're proficient in Smith's tools. It makes sense we have them. So what pack are we going to pick? Pick a pack of pickled peppers for Peter Piper's Dungeoneer. Thank you. Jacquel the Scholar. I recognize you. Hello. Welcome back. The dungeon one. Let's do the dungeon one. Okay. So we've selected everything. Now do not move forward. You do not want to do that. There's a button. I've done this before and balls things up. So don't balls it up. It says add starting equipment. Press the red button. Okay. This red button will not cause a nuclear bomb to explode. You can press this one. All right. So here we go. We get everything, but we're not finished. We cannot move on from here. This is usually near the end of these character building processes. What I normally do is we buy a whole lot of stuff. It's fun, people, so stick around. Pack, use the pack. Obviously, you click the button. The battle axe, even though you might not be holding it right now, I want you to just wield it. What it'll do by wielding the battle axe is that D&D Beyond will do all the maths to figure out what your attack bonus needs to be, so you don't have to figure it out. It will do the damage formula for you, so you know what your damage formula is. And we want to turn on chainmail. We want to wear it. Why do we want to wear it? Because it will then add the chainmail to our armor class, so we don't have to figure out the calculation. So that's all done for us. So wear the armor. Okay. Rope. We can buy rope. Look, I don't know which one it is. People will have to look up and see what the Dungeoneer pack has inside it. Paul, I'm not sure. But we can buy rope if we need to. Hand axe. I want you to wield just one of the axes. All you need to do is press it once. Now, why is that? It's not because you're necessarily holding the hand axe right now. We just want to do the maths for it so that the software package will do all the work for us. Moving down, we're going to be wielding one weapon in our hand at a time. So we're going to have the shield active and on pretty much all the time. So turn the shield on so it calculates and adds the +2 for the shield to your armor class. So turn that on as well. Okay. Obviously, you'll need to readjust it if you start using a two-handed crossbow or wielding a longbow or a short bow. Of course, why would you go with a short bow when you can have a long bow? We're not small, so we can use it. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, so that's all that done. We've got 10 gold to spend. And now we are almost at the end of this process. View the character sheet. It will show you everything apart from what my big fat face is hiding. This is the character sheet. You'll notice along the top it shows our level. There's a button here says manage character. I'll explain that in a second. And then we've got strength modifier, dexterity modifier, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Okay, so those are the modifiers. These are the things that are more important. Proficiency bonus, how fast we move is 30 feet. That's there. You can see our armor class is calculated for us based on the armor we're wearing and the shield we've got, and it's an 18, so it's pretty high. All of our saving throws are calculated here. If I scroll down a bit, you'll be able to see that the passive checks have been calculated for us as well. And you can't see what language, tools, weapons, and armor proficiencies we have, but it doesn't matter. We are a fighter. We pretty much have all of them, just about all of them basically, because my head is in the way. Okay, your skills are listed here. Shows you if there's a dot beside it, means you are trained in that skill in some way. And disadvantage, the big D, by stealth means that we're wearing armor that makes us clunky, and we have to roll 2 dice every time we make a stealth check and take the lowest result. So we've got all the maths there. Our hit points are calculated. If we go in here, you'll see all the maths for the battle axe, the hand axe, unarmed strikes is all calculated for you. Attacks are listed, actions, any additional actions if we have any, which we don't right now, bonus actions, which we really don't have, reactions if we had them, which we don't. We don't have any spells, see, no, well, apart from one. We have one spell right now. We'll get more spells as we level up. We're tiefling, aren't we? Pack contents. Well, I can check it in the book in a second. I'm just trying to get this going. Let's go over to inventory. This is where we spend stuff. We've already got some stuff, but we could get more. So we're unencumbered. So we're not encumbered. We're all right. So let's go manage inventory. This is the red button here. We've got 10 gold. Right, pick some equipment. Hashtag. Pick some equipment. Remember, it's got to be less than 10 gold, because that's what we've got at present. Okay. Pitons, tinder, mess kit. Okay, Norok has gone for it. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to keep up. Piton. There it is. Let's just grab 10. Add them to the pack. Done it. That was easy. I mean, I know I should deduct the money for it, but I just can't be bothered. Tinder. So this is the tinder box. How much is a tinder box? It's pretty cheap as well. It's about something like Yeah, okay, we'll take one of those into the pack. We'll probably have to deduct at least 1 gold after that, I would imagine. I think with the pitons and that, it's about 1 gold, isn't it? Something like that. Roughly there. Remove. So we've got 9 gold now. And we go back, previous. Now, mess kit. Mess kit. So that's pretty cheap, so we'll grab one of those. Not too expensive. Into the pack. We've got a mess kit. Right, I'm going to add healer's kit. I say this every single time. We should get a healer's kit. But nobody said a healer's kit. I'm going to leave it off. I'm not going to participate today. That's what I would recommend. Like, every character should have one. But nobody said anything. Anyway. Mana less than Monster Hunter is goose. Leather. Always paper and pencil. But I like all the ops. It works out for you. Yeah, it does. It does work out all the calculations for you. Leatherface, in the future, I will eventually be doing the character building with paper and pencil. It would look a little different to what it is right now. So it's not like I'm not planning to do that in the future, because I am. Manacles. We have we ever got manacles? Manacles. There we go. There's the manacles. 2 gold. Oh, she's expensive, baby. Let's grab it. Let's put it in our pack. And we'll deduct the 2 gold. The problem with D&D Beyond, it won't let you deduct anything but gold pieces. So if you try to deduct copper pieces, it freaks out and doesn't know how to do that. Yeah, really? Manacles. So Daniel, you already have these equipments in your pack, no? So let's have a look at what we've got the Dungeoneer's pack. So let's actually look up what is in the Dungeoneer's pack. Because there may be some things we don't need to grab. He's right. I think Daniel makes a good point. Let's have a look. I usually open this up. If you haven't figured it out, Daniel, people just like to throw things out there, and I'm all for it because, you know, it's part of the fun. But let's have a look if I can find the equipment packs. For the life of me, I still can't find them. And okay, anytime soon, Fred. I'm gonna wind up. Okay, here we go. Dungeoneer's pack. It includes Dungeoneer's pack. We get a backpack, a crowbar, a hammer, 10 pitons. So we don't actually need the pitons. So we now got 20 pitons, but I never actually paid for the pitons really. 10 torches. Don't need torches. We've got tinderbox already. It didn't actually pay for the tinderbox, so we've got a second one. 10 days rations. So I'm not buying any rations. A water skin. The pack also has 10 foot of rope, hemp rope. So we've got rope. If anybody was asking about the rope, we're all good. We've got the rope. So now I know what we've got there. Okay. So, Daniel, we've checked on that. We know what we got. You want a battering ram. Paul, do you really think a battering ram is going to be something we can afford? Let's have a look. Battering. I think it's just ram, isn't it? Block and tackle. Ram. I saw the block and tackle. Ram portable. I think the portable ram is really expensive. Oh no, it's 4 gold. 4 gold pieces. It's really expensive. We're going to stick it on the mule. I wonder if we can buy a mule. Can we buy a mule? Probably won't have enough money now. Backpack. You're never going to fit portable ram in your backpack. So anyway, 4 gold. Let's deduct the 4 gold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove that. How much we got left? We've got 3 gold left now. An extra water skin is good. We could, but let's just... We've got a water skin. Oh, do we have a water skin? We don't actually have a water skin. Oh, yes, we do. We have a water skin. We don't need an extra water skin. Nah. Explorer's pack. You reckon the Explorer's pack is a better option? Yeah, well, we could have gone with that, but it didn't happen that way. Hello, Seeker. Can I just clarify, please? You either get an equipment pack or the specified gold. Yes, so Seeker, No, you don't. You don't get 0 gold. That's the thing. This is why I say take the adventuring pack right now. Take the adventuring pack because you get a lot of stuff. You know, each pack is worth got a lot of stuff in it. So take the set equipment that they give you because it's worth a lot. Okay, it will solve a lot of your problems. Otherwise, you're going to walk around with not enough weapons or the wrong type of equipment. Take the pack that they provide you. So go with the equipment, and you will normally get about 10 gold pieces as part of your background. A lot of people say, "Oh, backgrounds are shit and they're not fun and they don't do anything." But backgrounds are awesome. Why are backgrounds awesome? One, you usually get 2 skills. You usually get a tool proficiency or some sort of other proficiency or a language. Okay, some even get a language and tool proficiency. I think you get a whole lot of equipment that comes with your background, right? And you get money, and it's usually 10 gold pieces. Then you get the background feature, and the problem is with people, and why Wizards of the Coast is fiddling with backgrounds, is because everybody wants everything to be combat focused, and it doesn't need to be combat focused. Actually, the background makes perfect sense for a commoner before they became an adventurer. It actually works out perfectly fine. So yes, that's why I say select your equipment and spend what gold you get as part of that process. Yes, you've got to remember the background. It's a big deal getting that background. It makes a big difference. I think you still start with the gold from your background. Yeah, that's right. Okay, grappling hook. Good points. Right, we'll put the grappling hook in there. Hopefully we can afford it. Grappling hook. Always good to have a grappling hook. We don't have one currently. 2 gold. We should be able to afford that. We'll put that in our pack. It should fit. 2 gold. Easy peasies. And deduct the 2 gold. It would be good if D&D Beyond could allow you to go in here and just sort of shop. It doesn't feel like you can just shop. I've got 1 gold piece left, people. Spend my money. What have we got here? A mirror. I think that's a good idea. Yes, grappling hook. I agree. I actually have a video explaining how to use a mirror in the game of Dungeons and Dragons. If people hadn't figured it out, I'm old, which means that I have 5 gold pieces. We can't afford it. You're going to have to steal a mirror, okay? Or you're going to have to save up and buy one. So something else, something that's worth 1 gold piece. What's worth 1 gold piece? I've got the player's handbook here. Let me have a look here. 1 gold piece. 1 gold piece. We could buy 20 arrows, even though we don't have a bow. We could buy them. I'm only joking. We could buy a bag of ball bearings. Everybody needs more balls. Medusa and such, vain characters. Yeah, no, I agree, absolutely. It's just we can't afford the mirror. We could have ball bearings. We could have. We don't need a bedroll. We're all good with that. We could buy a bell. A bell's kind of handy. If you've got a piece of string or a rope, you can tie the bell to the rope or string to use it as like an alarm system around your camp. What else we got here? We've got a block and tackle. Or did we get the block and tackle? Oh, I forgot the block and tackle. Sorry. Block and tackle. There it is. There's our final purchase. Now, when we need to lift something big and heavy, we've got a block and tackle. We will need to get ourselves some sort of mule to cart all this stuff around, but that's all right. And we have no money left. We've spent everything. Okay, so before I disappear, I need to show you where things go. Notebook and ink. We're going to have to steal that. Surprisingly, notebook ink is extremely expensive. So yeah, when you go into a place and you find an ink quill and a bottle of ink, take that ink, man. It's worth a lot. You can resell it. Go to the manage button. The manage button gives you a few things. Okay. You can change the sheet appearance. Yes, but what's more important with this whole thing is it allows you to export as a PDF. Okay, you can also share the link, and you can actually use this to link up with other software packages. It'll make life a lot easier for you and your Dungeon Master if you are using any kind of online services or whatever. You'll find that they can often link up with D&D Beyond, and this is sort of what that does. So that's where you go for that. That covers all of the character building stuff for today. Now, as you can see, I'm over carrying capacity. I've got way too much. So I would definitely need to get myself a mule at some point when I have money. I think a mule is like 8 gold. Isn't a mule about 8 gold? Does it tell me? A donkey or a mule? Here we go. Yeah. So once you get at least 8 gold pieces, get yourself a mule so you can cart around your portable ram and your block and tackle and various other heavy things. It's quite normal to do this when you're adventuring. Like, the people do it in real life. You get your ink off the black market, it's going to be probably even more expensive. Unless, of course, it's been appropriated. Could have been appropriated. In any case, we have successfully built another character. As I said before, this is what we do every week. Every week. Oh, I'm going to end this question. This thing didn't work. Confirm. Okay. So every week we build a character, and I don't remember what I'm supposed to do next. What's next week? What character are we building next week? Is it the Paladin? Or is it the Ranger? Don't say Artificer, because I already talked to my friends and we were saying Hot Mess was the Artificer. I think a steaming pile of hot mess was the Artificer. That was the discussion we had about the Artificer. But Paladin, Ranger. Could be one, could be the other. Don't know. I will let you know sooner, closer to that time. But right now, I don't know. When my friends and me hang out together again on the weekend, we will determine what it will be. But right now, I don't know exactly. I want to thank everybody who's been part of this live stream. Look, character building live doesn't work without you. If it's just me, it's boring. I might as well just do it in a closed, dark room. You know what I mean? So it does make a big difference when we have people around. Yeah, the Artificer has a problem in design-wise. It's so complicated. There's nothing beginner about creating a Artificer. So for those of you who are hoping for that, it would take a miracle to convince my friends that we could do a set of notes and advice on the Artificer that was actually for beginners. And I know a lot of people are sort of sad about that possibility. I know a lot of you want to play an Artificer, but seriously, leave the Artificer in Eberron, and the Artificer doesn't even do what it needs to do. Anyway, if you learned something, yeah, had that gold question come up in a real game, did you? Well, that's good, Seeker. So for those of you who are Dungeon Masters and are here and are part of this right now, and you're not a player, send your players to me, because I can go through and work through and help them build a character. And you know what I do. I run the same program every week. You know what the format is. Okay, I'm not going to try to teach them how to make a power build. I'm not going to, convince them that they should create a Gloomstalker Ranger or various other things. So it's up to you. But hey, just a suggestion. If you wanted a little bit of extra support, take the pressure off yourself. I am here for you. And for those of you who are new to the game and still learning the process of building characters, keep coming back, because we do this every week. So I want to thank all of my patrons today. I want to thank everybody who took part in the live stream today. Everybody who's been watching my live streams. Do not need to watch every single live stream, people. I do understand it's a bit much. There are too many. There are 6 a week, and they're almost 2 hours long, okay? I do appreciate people who watch the replays and the edited videos. You will see more chopped down edited videos in the future from the live stream. So if you don't want to try to watch the whole 2-hour thing, you will find I do segments as an edited video later, okay? That will happen. All in 4K, live 4K, edited 4K, yay, hey, hey. Okay, thank you very much. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours, and hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. I'm not doing an artifice rant. I've already done. Did I not rant enough?